This is the captain. We require immediate assistance. Are there any active or former combat pilots on board? Please contact the crew immediately.
If the voice on the intercom had shaken just a little more, every person on that aircraft would have known the truth. They were not just delayed. They were not just dealing with turbulence. Something was moving beside them in the dark Atlantic sky, and the captain was no longer pretending everything was under control. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Daniel Harris." The words cracked through the cabin of Meridian Flight 718 like a match struck in a silent church. Then came the pause. A long one. Too long. "We are experiencing a technical situation that requires immediate assistance. If there is anyone on board with military flight experience, especially manual flight experience under emergency conditions, please identify yourself to a crew member immediately." No one breathed. For a moment, the whole aircraft seemed to hang in the night without engines, without motion, without hope. Then the cabin came alive in small, frightened pieces. A woman in row 4 gripped her husband's wrist so hard his wedding ring pressed into his skin. A businessman lowered his tablet and stared at the ceiling as if the answer might be printed there. Somewhere behind first class, a child whispered, "Mommy, are we going to crash?" No one answered him. At 37,000 feet over black water, comfort disappeared quickly. Money disappeared. Status disappeared. The leather seats, the silver watches, the quiet luxury of the front cabin all became meaningless under the low, steady roar of engines that suddenly sounded too fragile to trust. In seat 8A, Nathan Walker opened his eyes. He had been pretending to sleep for nearly an hour. Not because he was tired, though he was. Not because he wanted rest, though his body needed it. He had closed his eyes because silence was easier than conversation. Easier than explaining why a man his age still flinched at certain mechanical sounds. Easier than telling strangers that some people leave war, but war does not always leave them. Nathan was 41 years old, broad-shouldered, quiet, dressed in a faded grey hoodie, dark jeans, and worn sneakers. His beard was trimmed close. His hands rested calmly on the armrests. Nothing about him invited attention. That was how he preferred it. The man beside him, a retired accountant from Ohio, had already decided Nathan was just another tired traveler. The woman across the aisle had glanced at his hoodie and looked away with the quick, polite distance some people use when they do not want to admit what they have assumed. Nathan had felt it. He always felt it. The measuring look. The silent question. Does he belong here? He did not blame them tonight. Not fully. Fear made people small. Fear made people reach for old habits. But the truth was colder than that. Long before fear entered the cabin, some of them had already placed him in a box. Ordinary, unimportant, safe to overlook. Near the front of the plane, Rachel Bennett, the lead flight attendant, stepped into the aisle. Her Navy uniform was perfect. Her posture was trained. But her fingers were pale around the interphone. "Please remain seated," she said. Her voice was smooth. Her eyes were not. She moved down the aisle slowly, scanning faces, hoping, calculating, looking for a uniform that was not there, looking for confidence, looking for someone who matched the picture in her mind of a person who could save an airplane. Nathan watched her come closer. Row 5, row 6, row 7. His breathing slowed. He knew that voice from the cockpit. He knew the weight hiding beneath the captain's words. It was the voice of a man running out of options and trying not to let panic leak into the cabin. Rachel reached row 8. Her eyes passed over Nathan. 1 second. Less than that. Then she moved on. Nathan didn't react. He simply looked down at his hands. Those same hands had once held the controls of an F-16 Fighting Falcon through fire, pressure loss, failed hydraulics, and desert nights where the horizon vanished completely. Those same hands had signed classified reports. Those same hands had pulled men back from the edge of death, and now they rested beside a sealed bag of pretzels while a plane full of people searched everywhere but him for salvation. The aircraft dipped. Not much. Just enough. A glass slid off a tray table and shattered in the aisle. A sharp scream cut through the cabin. Overhead bins rattled like bones. Rachel grabbed the back of a seat to steady herself. For the first time, Nathan saw her mask break. She was terrified, and that changed everything. Because Nathan Walker had made a promise 4 years ago to his 8-year-old daughter, Emily. No more danger. No more cockpits. No more nights when she had to wonder if Daddy was coming home. But there were 195 lives on this aircraft. And somewhere in Seattle, his little girl still believed heroes came home when they said they would. Nathan unbuckled his seatbelt. The click sounded louder than thunder. Nathan stood slowly, as if every inch of movement had to pass through the weight of a promise. The retired accountant beside him turned his head. "You okay, son?" Nathan did not look down. "I was a fighter pilot," he said. The words did not fly across the cabin. They landed low, firm, heavy enough to stop the whispers around him. Rachel Bennett turned back so fast the interphone cord snapped against her wrist. "Excuse me?" Nathan stepped into the aisle. The plane hummed beneath his feet, a deep metal vibration that traveled up through his legs and settled in his chest. "United States Air Force," he said. "F-16 pilot." 13 years. For half a second, hope flashed across Rachel's face. Then training buried it. She looked at his hoodie, his old sneakers, his empty hands. "Do you have identification?" No. The word changed the air. A woman across the aisle pulled her sweater tighter. The businessman in row 7 leaned out just enough to stare. A younger passenger whispered into his phone, recording now, because fear and spectacle had become almost the same thing in America. Rachel's jaw tightened. "Sir, I need you to understand what you are saying." "I understand." "No," she said, sharper than she meant to. Her voice cracked around the edge. "I need to know you understand. I cannot walk a stranger into a cockpit because he says he used to fly jets. There are families on this aircraft. Children. Elderly passengers. People who trusted us to get them across the ocean." Nathan held her gaze. He saw more than doubt in her eyes. He saw responsibility. That was different. Responsibility could make good people harsh. It could make frightened people unfair. But it did not excuse blindness. Behind him, the young man who had been wearing headphones shook his head. Man, anybody can say anything right now. A few passengers murmured agreement. Nathan heard it all. Not loudly, not cruelly. Worse. Casually. As if dismissing him took no effort at all. The plane rolled slightly to the left. A deep groan moved through the cabin walls. Someone gasped. A child started crying again, thin and frightened. Rachel grabbed the top of a seat. Nathan's voice stayed level. "You do not have time to trust me slowly." The words cut through the aisle. Rachel blinked. Before she could answer, an older man in row 9 pushed himself upright with both hands. He had a thick grey mustache, a brown jacket, and the stiff back of someone who had spent a lifetime standing when others sat. "Ask him something real," the man said. Rachel turned. "Sir, please stay seated. Name's Robert Hayes, Army, 26 years, Joint Air Operations, Forward Command, Air Support Coordination. I've been around fighter pilots most of my adult life. If he's lying, I'll hear it." Nathan looked at him. Robert did not smile. He studied Nathan the way one veteran measures another. Not by clothes, not by skin, by silence, by eyes, by the way fear moved, or did not move, through the body. "What did you fly?" Robert asked. F-16. Fighting Falcon. Mostly Block 50, training hours on Block 42. Where? Hill Air Force Base, 388th Fighter Wing. A man in row 6 lowered his phone. Robert stepped fully into the aisle now, one hand braced against the seat. "Call sign." Nathan paused. That name belonged to smoke, alarms, and nights he had tried to bury. "Falcon," he said. Robert's face changed just slightly. Not softness. Recognition. How many hours? Just over 2,000. Combat? Nathan's eyes went colder. Enough. The cabin seemed to lean in. Robert fired the next question like a weapon. Hydraulic failure. Dual system degradation. Controls getting heavy. Aircraft responding late. "What is the first thing you do?" Nathan answered without breathing first. "Stabilize attitude. No aggressive input. Confirm pressure loss. Check flight control response. Reduce workload. Keep speed above stall margin. Use trim and thrust management if surfaces degrade. Small corrections. Anticipate the aircraft. Do not fight it." Robert's eyes did not leave his face. Manual reversion. Last option. Ugly. Heavy. Unforgiving. You do not muscle it. You stay ahead of it. The older man stared at him for one long second. Then he turned to Rachel. "He's real." No one spoke. Even the engines seemed quieter. Rachel swallowed. The doubt did not vanish from her face. It became something more urgent, something more painful, desperation. The interphone buzzed in her hand. She lifted it with fingers that trembled once. "This is Rachel." Her expression drained as she listened. "Yes, Captain." A pause. "I found someone." Another pause. "Yes, I understand." She lowered the phone slowly. Nathan watched her make the hardest choice of her career in front of a cabin full of frightened strangers. "Come with me," she said. Nathan nodded once. As he moved forward, a young mother in row 5 reached out and caught his sleeve. Her son was pressed against her side, face wet, small hands wrapped around a stuffed dinosaur. "Please," she whispered, "I need to get him home." Nathan looked at the boy. For 1 second, the cabin disappeared. He saw Emily at home in Seattle, asleep under her purple blanket, trusting the world because she still trusted him. His voice softened. "I'll try." The mother's eyes filled with tears. She understood what he had not promised. Rachel led him toward the cockpit. Every row watched him pass. Some faces carried hope, some carried shame, some still carried doubt, because prejudice does not always die quickly, even when survival depends on it. At the cockpit door, Rachel stopped. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "If you are not who you say you are, I will never forgive myself." Nathan looked at the locked door, then at her. "I am who I say I am." Rachel keyed in the code. The lock clicked. The door opened, and the sound from inside was not control, it was struggle. The cockpit hit Nathan like a memory he had spent 4 years trying to bury. The air was hot, sharp, heavy with the smell of overheated circuits and human fear. Red and amber lights pulsed across the instrument panel. The warning chime kept repeating, steady and cold, like a hospital monitor that refused to be ignored. Captain Daniel Harris was slumped in the left seat. His headset had slipped sideways. One hand rested uselessly near the throttle. His face was grey, lips parted, breathing shallow. Beside him, Dr. Melissa Carter leaned over with a medical kit open across her lap. Her sleeves were rolled up. Her hair had fallen loose from its clip. She had 2 fingers against the captain's neck, and the expression of a woman trying to make medicine work inside a room built for machines. He's alive, she said, without looking up. Pulse weak. Possible stroke. I need oxygen and more space. Rachel froze behind Nathan. Oh my God. Nathan did not freeze. He looked right. First Officer Tyler Morgan sat in the co-pilot seat with both hands on the controls. 31 years old. Pale, sweating through his collar. His eyes were wide, not empty, not cowardly, just overloaded. The aircraft dipped again. Tyler pulled back too hard. The nose rose. The stall warning chirped once. Nathan stepped forward. Easy, he said. Tyler snapped his head toward him. Who the hell are you? The man Rachel found, Nathan said. Former Air Force. I am not here to take over your airplane. I am here to help you keep it flying. Tyler's jaw trembled. Then help fast. Nathan leaned between the seats and scanned the panel. He took in the altitude, speed, attitude, hydraulic pressure, autopilot status, flight director, fuel, weather returns, glowing green and yellow on the radar. He did not know every system on this aircraft. That mattered. A good pilot respected the machine in front of him. A reckless man pretended all cockpits were the same. Nathan pointed at the primary display. Your nose is high. Relax the back pressure. Let her breathe. I am trying. No, you are fighting her. Tyler's hands loosened a fraction. The nose settled. The warning stopped. Nathan's voice stayed low, firm, almost quiet. Good. Small inputs. Nothing heroic. This airplane is hurt. Treat it like a patient, not an enemy. Dr. Carter glanced up at that, just for a second. Something in the sentence landed with her. Rachel stood near the door, one hand pressed to the wall, her lips moving in silent prayer. Tyler swallowed. We lost autopilot. Hydraulic pressure is dropping in System 2. System 3 is unstable. Captain said we had a flight control issue, then he just grabbed his head and went down. I called Shannon. They know we are emergency inbound. But she's heavy, slow to respond. Everything feels delayed. Nathan nodded. How far out? About 40 minutes if we hold course. Weather, rain, crosswind, low ceiling. Shannon says runway is open, emergency crews standing by. Another warning tone sounded. Tyler flinched. Nathan did not. Look at me, Tyler. The young first officer kept staring at the panel. Tyler. This time he looked. Nathan saw shame in his eyes, the kind a young pilot feels when fear shows itself before permission is granted. Nathan knew that shame. He had carried it once. Men were taught to hide fear, then punished when fear leaked through their hands. Nathan softened his voice. Being scared does not make you unsafe. Pretending you are not scared does. Tyler blinked hard. Nathan continued. So we are going to say what is true. The aircraft is damaged. The captain is incapacitated. You are the pilot flying. I am advisory support. Dr. Carter keeps him alive. Rachel keeps the cabin ready. No ego. No guessing. We use what we have. For the first time, Tyler breathed all the way out. Okay, good. Say it back. I am the pilot flying. You are advisory support. We use what we have. Nathan nodded. Now trim forward a touch. Let the speed come back. Do not chase the needles. Lead them. Tyler adjusted. The aircraft steadied. Not perfect, but better. Rachel's headset crackled from the jump seat station. She grabbed it, listened, then looked at Nathan. Cabin is asking what to tell passengers. Nathan did not turn away from the panel. Tell them the truth without feeding panic. The captain is receiving medical attention. The first officer is flying the aircraft. We are diverting to Shannon. Everyone must stay seated, belted, and follow crew instructions. Calm saves lives. Rachel stared at him. There was no doubt in her face now. Only the painful realization of how close she had come to walking past the man they needed. She nodded and slipped out, sealing the cockpit door behind her. For one breath, the cockpit became smaller. 4 people. 1 injured captain. 1 young pilot. 1 doctor. 1 man in a hoodie carrying a past nobody had seen. Then Tyler whispered, almost to himself, "I do not know if I can land her like this." Nathan looked through the windshield at the black sky ahead. Neither did he. Not for certain, but certainty was a luxury. He placed one hand on the back of Tyler's seat. "Then we do the next right thing," he said, and after that, the next one. Rachel stepped back into the cabin with a face that told the truth before her voice did. The passengers saw it. They saw the tightness around her mouth, the pale line of her knuckles around the interphone, the way her shoulders stayed straight only because years of training would not let them fall. She lifted the handset. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rachel Bennett, your lead flight attendant." The cabin went still. "We are diverting to Shannon, Ireland. The captain is receiving medical care. The first officer is in control of the aircraft, with assistance from a qualified former military pilot on board." A murmur moved through the plane. Not loud, not wild. Just human. Fear looking for somewhere to go. Rachel continued, "I need every passenger seated. Seatbelts fastened low and tight. Bags fully stowed. Phones secured. Please listen to your crew. Staying calm is part of staying safe." In row 5, the young mother pulled her son closer. The boy pressed his stuffed dinosaur against his mouth, trying not to cry again. "Is the man in the hoodie helping us?" he whispered. His mother looked toward the front, where Nathan had disappeared behind the cockpit door. "Yes, baby," she said, though her voice shook. "I think he is." Across the aisle, the businessman who had doubted Nathan lowered his phone. The recording screen still glowed in his hand. For the first time since the announcement, he looked ashamed. He turned slightly toward Robert Hayes. "You really think he can do it?" Robert did not look at him right away. His eyes stayed on the cockpit door. "I think he is the best chance we have." That answer silenced the man more completely than any scolding could have. In the cockpit, Tyler Morgan's headset crackled with the voice of Shannon Approach. "Meridian 718, Shannon Approach. Confirm souls on board, and fuel remaining." Tyler's hand hovered near the radio. Nathan nodded once. Slow. Clear. "Say only what they ask." Tyler pressed the transmit button. "Shannon Approach, Meridian 718. We have 195 souls on board. Fuel remaining approximately 5 hours. Captain incapacitated. We have flight control degradation and are operating with assistance from a former military pilot." A pause followed. Then the controller returned, calm as stone. "Meridian 718. Roger. You are priority traffic. Expect vectors for runway 24. Emergency services are standing by." Nathan watched Tyler's shoulders drop a fraction. "Good," Nathan said. "They have us." "Not enough," Tyler muttered. "No. But it helps." Dr. Melissa Carter shifted beside the captain. The oxygen mask hissed against Captain Harris's face. His eyelids fluttered, but he did not wake. "He needs a hospital fast," she said. Nathan looked at her hands. Steady hands, tired hands. "You are buying him time." Melissa swallowed, but did not stop working. "Then let us not waste it." A gust hit the aircraft. The nose yawed right. Tyler corrected hard. "Too much," Nathan said. The plane swayed left. Tyler cursed under his breath. "Small corrections. Feel the delay. Count it. Input. Wait. Let the airplane answer." Tyler's breathing came fast. "I know that." Nathan leaned closer. Not angry, not gentle, simply firm. "Knowing is not to do it." Tyler nodded. Another gust. This time his hands moved less. The aircraft rocked, then settled. "Better," Nathan said. Outside, the world was black. No stars, no moon, just the faint reflection of cockpit lights in the windshield and the hidden violence of weather ahead. Inside Nathan's chest, an older cockpit began to rise. A desert night, a warning horn, his wingman screaming over the radio. "Falcon, pull up! Falcon, do you copy?" His right hand twitched. For 1 second, he was not in a passenger jet over the Atlantic. He was back in a burning sky, young enough to think skill could save everyone, old enough now to know it could not. Then Tyler's voice pulled him back. "Nathan." Nathan blinked. He saw the instruments, the injured captain, the young man fighting panic, the doctor refusing to give up. He breathed once. "I am here." But Tyler had seen the flash in his face. "You okay?" Nathan almost lied. Then he remembered what he had told Tyler. Being scared does not make you unsafe. He looked at the runway data on the display. "I have memories. That is all." Tyler did not press. Maybe he understood. Maybe he was too frightened to ask. Either way, he gave Nathan the dignity of silence. Rachel returned to the cockpit door and spoke through the interphone. "Cabin is secured as much as possible. People are scared, but listening." Nathan reached for the handset near the observer seat. "Rachel, find Robert Hayes, if he can move safely. Have him sit near the front and help keep people calm. They trust him now. Use that." There was a short pause. Understood. Nathan did not say what both of them knew. People had trusted Robert before they trusted Nathan. That truth sat between them, ugly and useful. And tonight, useful mattered. Shannon approach came back on. Meridian 718, expect moderate turbulence on descent. Wind 270 at 28 knots, gusting higher. Visibility reduced in rain. Confirm you are able to continue. Tyler stared at the panel. Nathan looked at him. "Do not answer as a hero," he said. "Answer as a pilot." Tyler took one breath, then another. Shannon approach, Meridian 718. We are able to continue. Request longest available final and emergency equipment in position. Nathan nodded. "Good call." Tyler's eyes stayed forward. "I am terrified." Nathan's voice softened. "Then you are paying attention." The aircraft began its descent. The engines changed pitch. The cabin tilted gently downward, and far ahead, beyond rain, wind, fear, and every wrong judgment made in that cabin, a runway waited like a thin line between life and loss. The descent changed everything. The aircraft no longer felt like a room in the sky. It felt like a wounded body being lowered through darkness, one careful breath at a time. The engines pulled back. The nose dipped. A soft pressure pushed against every chest in the cabin. Rachel walked the aisle one last time. She checked belts. She pushed bags under seats. She placed trembling hands back onto armrests. Her voice stayed calm, but the passengers could see the cost of that calm in her face. "Sir, please tighten your seatbelt. Ma'am, put your phone away now. Heads down only when we tell you. No, do not stand up. Please listen to me." Her words were simple, direct, human. And because they were human, people obeyed. Near the front, Robert Hayes sat upright in an aisle seat with one hand gripping the armrest. Rachel had asked him to help. He had not asked why. He had simply nodded and moved with the careful stiffness of an older man whose body still remembered command. A woman in pearls across from him was crying silently. Robert leaned toward her. "Ma'am, look at me." She did. "Slow breaths," he said. "In through your nose, out through your mouth. You panic, your body lies to you. Breathe and make it tell the truth." She tried. Her breath shook. But she tried again. Behind her, the businessman who had recorded Nathan stared at his dark phone screen. His thumb hovered over the delete button. He had watched Nathan stand, He had watched himself doubt him. Now shame sat heavy in his stomach, heavier than fear. He looked at the young mother in row 5. "Your boy, okay?" She nodded without looking away from her son. The businessman reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small pack of tissues. His hand trembled as he offered it. "Here." The mother took it. "Thank you. It was not forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something decent trying to return." In the cockpit, Tyler Morgan kept both hands on the controls. Lighter now, more disciplined. Sweat ran from his temple to his jaw. He did not wipe it away. Shannon Approach spoke through the headset. "Meridian 718. Descend and maintain 3,000 feet. Turn left heading 260. You are cleared for the ILS runway 24 approach." Tyler repeated the clearance. His voice was still tight, but it no longer broke. Nathan stood behind him, one hand braced above the panel. He watched the instruments with the stillness of a man reading bad news without blinking. "Localizer alive," Tyler said. "Good. Do not chase it. Let it come to you. Wind is pushing us. I see it," Tyler corrected. "Too much." He eased back. "Better." Dr. Melissa Carter looked up from Captain Harris. Her face was damp with effort. The captain's breathing had grown uneven. "His pulse is weaker," she said. Nathan did not turn. "How long?" "I do not know." Nobody liked that answer. No one had a better one. The aircraft dropped through a layer of cloud, and rain hit the windshield with sudden violence. The sound filled the cockpit. Hard, fast, thousands of tiny impacts like gravel thrown against glass. Tyler stiffened. Nathan's voice cut through it. "This is noise, not information." "Fly the instruments," Tyler nodded. "Fly the instruments," he repeated. The glide slope needle came alive. A runway waited somewhere ahead, hidden behind rain and black air. Nathan felt his old training tighten inside him. Not panic, not courage. Something colder. The narrow place where emotion had to kneel, so duty could stand. Then from somewhere deep in memory, Emily's voice came back. "Daddy, are you coming home?" His throat tightened. "Not now," he told himself. "Not yet." Tyler lowered the landing gear. A heavy thud rolled through the aircraft. In the cabin, several passengers cried out. Rachel lifted her voice from the jump seat. "That was the landing gear. That is normal. Stay seated. Stay braced. Listen to my commands." Her voice reached them like a rope. In row 5, the little boy whispered into his stuffed dinosaur, "Please let the hoodie man be good." His mother closed her eyes. "He is, baby." In the cockpit, Tyler selected flaps. The aircraft shuddered. A warning light blinked. "Flapper symmetry," Tyler said, voice rising. Nathan leaned in. "Stop the flap movement." Tyler did. "Speed?" "A little high." "Keep it a little high. We accept the longer landing. Better than losing control." Shannon Approach came again. Meridian 718, wind 280 at 32 knots, gusting 40. Runway 24 cleared to land. Emergency vehicles are in position. Tyler swallowed hard. "Cleared to land, runway 24, Meridian 718. Then the clouds broke. For 1 second, nothing. Then lights appeared. A thin glowing line in the rain. Tyler saw it. Nathan saw it. The runway. Real. Waiting. Alive. Tyler's breath caught. "I have it." Nathan's voice became steel. "Then fly it." The runway lights grew larger, then blurred behind the rain. Tyler held the controls with both hands. His fingers were no longer white. They were steady, but barely. Every muscle in his arms fought the urge to overcorrect. Nathan watched the speed tape. "A little fast," he said. "I know. Fast is acceptable. Unstable is not." Tyler nodded once. The aircraft dropped through another gust. The The right wing dipped. The runway slid left in the windshield. Tyler corrected. "Wait," Nathan said. Tyler froze his hands for half a heartbeat. The aircraft answered late. Heavy. Wounded. But it answered. "There," Nathan said. "Hold that." In the cabin, Rachel sat strapped into her jump seat, facing the rows of passengers. Her hands were folded tightly in her lap. Her mouth moved through the brace instructions again. Quiet now, almost like prayer. Heads down. Stay down. Feet flat. Arms over your head when I tell you. Robert Hayes looked across the aisle at the woman in pearls. Her eyes were closed. Her lips trembled. "You are doing fine," he told her. She nodded, though tears slipped down both cheeks. The businessman in row 7 had put his phone away. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, staring at the floor. His face had changed. Fear had stripped something from him. Pride, maybe. Certainty. The easy comfort of thinking he understood people at a glance. He whispered something no one heard. Maybe a prayer. Maybe an apology. In row 5, the young mother wrapped one arm around her son and one hand over the back of his head. "When I say down, you stay down, okay?" The boy nodded into her coat. "Is Daddy going to know we were brave?" She closed her eyes for 1 second. "Yes, sweetheart." Her voice broke. "He will." In the cockpit, Shannon Approach spoke again. "Meridian 718, emergency cruise confirm visual. Wind 285 at 35, gusting 4-2. Tyler's eyes flickered. "That is a lot of wind." Nathan's voice stayed flat. "Yes. Can we do it?" Nathan did not give him false comfort. False comfort could kill. "We are lined up. You are flying. Keep working." The aircraft sank. "Too low," Tyler said. "Add a little power." Tyler moved the thrust levers forward. The engines responded with a deep, delayed growl. "Not too much," Nathan said. "Let it arrest the sink. Do not climb." Tyler eased back. Rain hammered the glass. The runway expanded. The centerline lights appeared, white and sharp through the dark. Dr. Melissa Carter braced one shoulder against the side panel while keeping the oxygen mask sealed to Captain Harris's face. Her knees were planted wide to keep balance. She had treated gunshot wounds in an emergency room. She had delivered babies during snowstorms, but she had never tried to keep a man alive while the room around her tried to fall out of the sky. Captain Harris stirred. His eyelids opened a thin crack. "Daniel," Melissa said, leaning close. "Captain, can you hear me?" His mouth moved. No sound came out. Nathan glanced down. For an instant, Captain Harris's eyes found the instruments, then Tyler, then Nathan. He understood. Not everything. Enough. His fingers twitched toward the controls. Nathan leaned close, voice gentle but firm. "Captain, we have the aircraft. Stay with the doctor." A tear slid sideways from the corner of the captain's eye into his grey hair. He let his hand fall. That small surrender hit Tyler harder than any alarm. The captain trusted him now. There was no one else. 500, the automated voice called. Tyler's breathing sharpened. Nathan shifted closer. "You are a little right of center." "Correct small," Tyler corrected. 400. The wind shoved them. The aircraft yawed left. Tyler pressed rudder, eased aileron. "Good," Nathan said. "Hold! Hold! 300. Rachel's voice cut through the cabin. "Brace! Brace! Heads down! Stay down!" The cabin folded in on itself. 195 people bent forward in fear, prayer, regret, love. Hands found hands. Strangers became anchors. 200. Tyler's jaw clenched. "I am drifting. You are correcting. 100. Power idle in a moment," Nathan said. "Do not force the nose down. 50. The runway rushed up. 40. Rain streaked sideways. 30. Tyler pulled back slightly. "Too much," Nathan said. Tyler eased. 20. The aircraft floated. For one horrible second, it felt like the runway was slipping away beneath them. Then the right main gear hit, hard. A violent bang tore through the cabin. People screamed. Left gear slammed down. The aircraft bounced. Tyler fought the controls. No, Nathan snapped. Do not chase it. Let it settle. The nose dropped. The front gear struck. A blast of vibration shook every bone in the plane. Tyler deployed reverse thrust. The engines roared like breaking thunder. The aircraft veered right. Centerline, Nathan said. I am trying. Rudder. Small. Hold it. Smoke flashed past the windows. Emergency lights blurred red and blue through the rain. Rachel stayed folded forward, shouting over the noise. Stay down! Stay down! Stay down! The aircraft slowed. Still fast. Still moving. Still alive. Tyler's hands shook now, but he kept them where they belonged. Nathan watched the runway remaining vanish beneath them. Come on, he whispered. The plane rolled, shuddered, groaned. Then at last it stopped. For 3 seconds no one moved. The aircraft sat in the rain with its engines howling low, its brakes hot, its body shivering from the violence it had just survived. Red lights flashed through the cockpit windows. Emergency trucks raced toward them, tires throwing water across the runway. Tyler Morgan stared straight ahead. His hands were still locked on the controls. Nathan touched his shoulder. Tyler. Set the parking brake. Tyler blinked, as if waking from underwater. Right. He set it. The checklist, Nathan said. After landing, emergency shutdown only if there is fire indication. Tyler swallowed. No fire warning. Good. Talk to tower. Tyler pressed the radio switch with a hand that trembled now that the danger had finally slowed down enough to be felt. Shannon Tower, Meridian 718, is stopped on the runway. His voice broke on the last word. The tower answered at once. Meridian 718, emergency vehicles are approaching. Remain on frequency. Do you require immediate evacuation? Tyler looked at Nathan. Nathan scanned the panel, then the windshield, then the cabin door behind them. No visible flames. No smoke in cockpit. Emergency crews closing in. Ask cabin condition. Tyler reached for the interphone. Rachel, cockpit. Report. For a moment, nothing. Then Rachel's voice came through, breathless but clear. Cabin intact. Passengers shaken. Possible minor injuries. No smoke visible. No fire. Awaiting instructions. Nathan closed his eyes for less than a second. Continue seated. Prepare for possible evacuation, but do not initiate unless commanded. Rachel copied. In the cabin, her voice went out like a commandment. Stay seated. Stay belted. Emergency crews are outside. Do not open exits. Do not move until we tell you. A man in the back unbuckled anyway, panic dragging him upward. I need to get out. Robert Hayes turned in his seat. Sit down. The man froze. Robert's voice did not rise. It did not need to. You made it this far because people followed instructions. Do not endanger everybody now. The man looked around, saw the faces watching him, saw fear, not judgment. He sat. In row 5, the little boy lifted his head from his mother's lap. Are we on the ground? His mother laughed once. It came out broken and wet. Yes, baby. We are on the ground. Did the hoodie man do it? She pressed her lips to his hair. He helped. A lot. Across the aisle, the businessman lowered his face into both hands. His shoulders shook once, not loudly, not for attention. A private collapse. A man realizing he had almost spent the last hour of his life being wrong about the person who helped save it. Rachel unbuckled after clearance from the cockpit and began moving through first class. Her knees felt weak, but she would not let passengers see that yet. Any injuries? Stay seated. Show me your hands if you need medical help." A woman held up a bleeding wrist where a bracelet had cut her skin. A teenager sobbed into her sleeve. An elderly man kept repeating his wife's name, though she was sitting right beside him, holding his face between her palms. "I am here, Harold. I am right here." Rachel stopped beside the young mother and her son. "Are you both hurt?" The mother shook her head. "No, just scared." Rachel nodded. "Scared is allowed." The mother grabbed her hand. "Thank you." Rachel's eyes flicked toward the cockpit door. "Thank him." In the cockpit, Dr. Melissa Carter leaned back from Captain Harris, exhausted. Emergency medical teams were already at the forward door, waiting for permission to board. "He is still with us," she said. Tyler closed his eyes. Nathan looked at the captain. The man's face was pale and slack, but his chest still rose. That was enough for now. The cockpit door opened after coordination with the rescue crew. Cold, wet air pushed in, carrying the smell of rain, diesel, and runway foam. A paramedic climbed aboard with a medical bag, then another. Dr. Carter started speaking fast. Male, late 50s, suspected stroke, sudden collapse in flight, weak pulse, oxygen administered, limited response. The paramedics moved with practiced urgency, no drama, no wasted motion. They lifted Captain Harris carefully from the seat and transferred him onto a narrow stretcher. As they carried him out, his hand shifted. It brushed Tyler's sleeve. Tyler looked down. Captain Harris's eyes opened just enough to find him. His mouth formed one word. "Good." No sound came, but Tyler saw it. "Good." The young first officer turned away, biting hard on the inside of his cheek. Nathan gave him that privacy. Outside, rain streaked across the cockpit glass. Emergency lights pulsed red over Nathan's face. For the first time since standing in row 8, his body understood they had landed. His hands began to shake. Not much. Enough. He folded them together. Tyler noticed. "You okay?" Nathan gave a tired half smile. "Now I am scared." Tyler let out a laugh that was almost a sob. Rachel appeared in the doorway. She looked at Tyler, then at Nathan. Her eyes were red. "Passengers are stable. Emergency crew says we can deplane by stairs once they finish inspection." Nathan nodded. "Good work." Rachel's face tightened at those words. Praise, after all her doubt, felt heavier than blame. "Mr. Walker," she said quietly, "I need to say something." Nathan looked at her. She swallowed. "I looked right past you." The cockpit seemed to still around them. Rachel continued, voice low. "I was looking for someone who looked like my idea of a pilot. I was wrong. And I am sorry." Nathan held her gaze. He could have punished her with silence. He had earned that right. Instead, he breathed slowly. "Then remember it," he said. Rachel nodded once. "I will." Nathan looked past her, toward the cabin full of people waiting to leave a plane they had thought might become their coffin. "Remember it when it is not an emergency," he said, "because that is when it matters most." The passengers left the aircraft one row at a time, not with the usual impatience of travelers, but with the careful silence of people who understood they had been given back something sacred. Rain blew sideways across the mobile stairs. Emergency workers in bright jackets stood at the bottom, guiding them toward waiting buses. Blue lights flashed across wet pavement. The air smelled of jet fuel, cold rain, and hot brakes. Rachel stood at the forward door. "Watch your step. Hold the rail. Keep moving slowly." Her voice was hoarse now. When the young mother reached the door with her son, the boy stopped and looked back down the aisle. "Where is he?" Rachel knew who he meant. "The man who helped us?" The boy nodded. Rachel turned toward the cockpit. "He is still up front." The boy clutched his stuffed dinosaur tighter. "Can I say thank you?" His mother started to pull him along, embarrassed by the delay. But Rachel lifted one hand. "Wait." She looked into the cockpit. "Mr. Walker." Nathan turned. For a second, he looked older than he had before. The hoodie hung loose on his shoulders. His face carried the grey fatigue of men who had survived twice, once in the sky and once in memory. The boy stood in the doorway, small against the storm. "Thank you," he said. Nathan's expression changed. Not much, just enough. "You were brave," Nathan told him. The boy shook his head. "I cried." Nathan stepped closer, careful not to block the paramedics, still moving equipment through the front. "Brave people cry all the time." The mother covered her mouth. Rachel looked down. That sentence did more for the cabin than any announcement had. The boy nodded, as if Nathan had handed him something he could carry for years. Then he went down the stairs with his mother, into the rain, toward life. Robert Hayes was the last passenger from the forward cabin to leave. He paused beside Nathan, one hand on the doorframe. "Falcon," he said quietly. Nathan had not heard the name spoken like that in years. Not as a question, not as proof, as respect. Nathan met his eyes. Robert gave a small nod. "You did good." Nathan's throat tightened. "We all did." Robert looked toward the cabin, where Rachel was helping an elderly woman with her coat. Not all at first. There was no cruelty in it. Just truth. Nathan accepted it. No, not all at first. Robert leaned closer, his voice low enough for only Nathan to hear. Then maybe that is the lesson. He stepped into the rain. Inside the terminal, passengers were taken to a secured waiting area near emergency services. Blankets were handed out. Medical staff checked wrists, blood pressure, oxygen levels. Airline representatives moved from group to group with clipboards and pale faces. The businessman from row 7 sat alone near a window. His name was Charles Whitman. He was 62, retired from commercial real estate, a man who had spent much of his life believing he was fair because he was polite. His phone rested in his lap. On the screen was the video he had recorded of Nathan standing in the aisle. His own whisper was clear in the background. Anybody can say that. Charles played it once, then again. His face tightened. He deleted it. Then he sat there staring at the empty screen, realizing deletion did not erase what had been inside him when he recorded it. Across the room, Rachel approached Nathan with a paper cup of coffee she had not had time to drink. He was standing near a window, watching rain streak down the glass. Out beyond the terminal lights, the aircraft sat surrounded by emergency trucks, a wounded giant at rest. "Here," Rachel said. Nathan took the cup. "Thank you." For a while they stood without speaking. Then Rachel said, "I have been doing this job for 21 years. I thought experience made me careful." Nathan looked at her. "Sometimes it does, and sometimes it makes us trust our habits too much." Rachel absorbed that. She nodded slowly. "I saw a hoodie before I saw a man." Nathan did not soften the truth for her. "Yes." The word landed cleanly. Rachel's eyes filled, but she did not look away. "I'm sorry." Nathan looked through the glass at the plane. "My daughter is 8, he said. Her name is Emily. When she looks at people, she still sees the whole person first. I hope the world does not train that out of her." Rachel pressed her lips together. "It does that, doesn't it?" "It tries." Behind them, a phone began to buzz on a table, then another, then another. Passengers looked down, news alerts, posts, videos. Meridian Flight 718, emergency landing in Shannon. Former fighter pilot passenger assists after captain incapacitated. Man in grey hoodie helped save transatlantic flight. Charles Whitman looked across the room at Nathan. Then he stood. Slowly, he walked over, each step heavier than the last. "Mr. Walker." Nathan turned. Charles swallowed. "I owe you my life." Nathan said nothing. Charles looked at the floor. "And I owe you an apology. Before I knew anything about you, I doubted you. I do not have a good excuse." Nathan studied him. "No," he said. "You do not." Charles flinched but nodded. Nathan's voice stayed calm. "But you can do better with the next person." Charles looked up. That was not forgiveness wrapped in comfort. It was harder. It was a responsibility. Across the terminal, Rachel watched the two men standing beneath the cold airport lights, one ashamed, one exhausted, both alive. And somewhere far away in Seattle, a little girl still slept, not knowing the whole world had nearly changed while she dreamed. Nathan finally called home when the terminal grew quieter. It was not quiet because the danger was gone. It was quiet because shock had settled into people's bones. Passengers sat under silver emergency blankets, staring at coffee cups, airport walls, each other. Some cried softly, some prayed, some called family, and repeated the same words again and again. "I am alive. We landed. I am alive." Nathan stood near a window away from the crowd. His phone felt heavier than it should have. On the glass, his reflection looked hollow-eyed and older. A man wearing a hoodie that suddenly seemed too thin for the weight of the night. He tapped Margaret Collins's number. She answered on the second ring. "Nathan?" Her voice was already awake, already worried. Margaret was 67, a retired nurse from the house next door in Seattle. She had watched Emily on school nights, snow days, and the hard evenings when Nathan's past rose too high in his chest for him to be alone with it. She knew the difference between late and wrong. Nathan closed his eyes. "Hey, Margaret." There was 1 second of silence. Then her voice changed. "What happened?" The question was soft, but it went straight through him. Nathan looked out at the rain sliding down the airport glass. The flight had an emergency. "We landed in Ireland. I am okay." Margaret breathed in sharply. "Lord have mercy." "Emily?" "Still asleep," Margaret said. "She stirred a little when my phone rang, but she is fine. She has that rabbit under her chin. Same as always." Nathan pressed 2 fingers to his eyes. "Good." His voice nearly failed on the word. Margaret heard it. "Nathan, were you involved?" He looked across the terminal. Rachel was speaking with airline officials. Tyler sat with a paramedic checking his blood pressure. Still pale, still alive. Dr. Melissa Carter stood beside a hospital transport team, giving one final report on Captain Harris before the ambulance took him away. Charles Whitman sat alone, with both hands wrapped around a cup of coffee he had not tasted. Nathan lowered his voice. "I helped a little." Margaret was silent. Then she said, "You never did know how to lie to an old nurse?" A tired breath escaped him. It almost became a laugh, but did not. "I had to go into the cockpit." The words sat there. Heavy. Margaret understood what that meant. Not the technical details. The other part. The door he had promised himself he would never open again. Oh, Nathan. He looked down. "I told Emily no more cockpits. You told her no more war," Margaret said gently. Tonight was not war. It felt close. "I know." His hand trembled around the phone. For 4 years, Nathan had built a quiet life out of small routines. Morning pancakes, school drop-offs, grocery lists, bedtime stories with funny voices. He had learned which cartoons Emily liked, how she took her oatmeal, which hallway floorboard creaked outside her room. Those ordinary things had saved him more than once. And tonight, at 37,000 feet, he had almost lost all of it. "Is she scared?" he asked. "No." She does not know yet. Let me talk to her when she wakes up. Of course. Margaret paused. Nathan, listen to me. You came home once, from things most people will never understand. Tonight, you helped other people come home. That does not break your promise. That honors it. He could not speak. Across the room, Tyler stood and walked toward him. Nathan wiped his face quickly with the back of his hand. Margaret, I have to go. Tell Emily I love her. I will. And Nathan? Yes? Come home, careful. He looked at the wet runway lights beyond the glass. I will. He ended the call and lowered the phone. Tyler stopped a few feet away, unsure if he had interrupted something sacred. Sorry. It is okay. Tyler's eyes were red. His hair was still damp with sweat. The young first officer looked different now, stripped of rank and performance. Just a man who had carried too much, too quickly. Captain Harris is on his way to the hospital, Tyler said. They think he has a chance. That is good. Tyler nodded, but his lips pressed together. I keep thinking about the touchdown. If I had pulled more, we might have bounced harder. If I had corrected late, we might have gone off the runway. I keep seeing it. Nathan understood. It will replay. For how long? Nathan looked at him with painful honesty. Maybe a while. Tyler swallowed. How do you live with that? Nathan looked back through the glass. You do not live by pretending it did not happen. You talk. You sleep when you can. You let people help you. And you remember the ending. The ending? Nathan turned to him. You landed the airplane. Tyler's face crumpled. Not completely. Just enough. I did not do it alone. No one ever does. That sentence stayed between them. Then Rachel approached, slower than before. She held an airline tablet in one hand and a folded blanket over her arm. Mr. Walker, the operations director, wants a statement. The authorities will need one too. Standard procedure. Nathan nodded. Of course. Rachel hesitated. Also, the company executives are calling. Reporters are outside. Passengers are posting your name. Nathan's shoulders tightened. I do not want cameras. Rachel studied him, then nodded. I will tell them. Tyler looked surprised. Can she do that? Rachel's voice was quiet, but firm. Tonight? Yes. For the first time, Nathan saw her not as the woman who had looked past him, but as someone trying to stand correctly after standing wrong. A small thing. A necessary thing. Outside, the ambulance carrying Captain Harris moved away with lights flashing red against the rain. Inside, 195 people slowly began to understand that survival was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of what they owed each other. By morning, Nathan Walker's name was everywhere, not because he wanted it there. Not because he stood in front of cameras, because 195 people had walked off Meridian Flight 718 with the same story in their mouths. A man in a grey hoodie had stood up when everyone else froze. A man they almost ignored had helped bring them home. At Shannon Airport, the waiting area had become a quiet storm. Airline executives arrived with tight faces and tired eyes. Irish aviation authorities took statements. Medical teams moved through rows of survivors. Reporters gathered beyond the glass doors, their cameras raised, their voices pressing against the walls. Nathan sat in a corner with a paper cup of cold coffee between his hands. He looked smaller there. Not weak. Just human. Rachel stood a few feet away, speaking to an operations director named Martin Cole. Martin was polished, silver-haired, and nervous in the way corporate men became nervous when the truth could not be controlled. We need Mr. Walker for a brief press statement, Martin said. Rachel's face hardened. He said no cameras. Martin lowered his voice. Rachel, this is a major event. The company needs to show gratitude and transparency. Then show it by respecting him. Martin blinked. She had never spoken to him that way before. Across the room, Tyler Morgan looked up from a chair where a paramedic had wrapped a blood pressure cuff around his arm. Rachel is right, he said. He is not a prop. The words moved through the room like a clean wind. Nathan heard them, but did not look up. For years he had known the strange pain of being unseen. Now he was being seen too much, too fast, and not always as a person. To some he was a headline, to others a symbol, to a few a convenient miracle. But to himself he was still the man who had promised his daughter pancakes on Saturday morning. A phone rang behind him. Then another. Charles Whitman stood near the window, watching a news clip play on a wall-mounted television. His own face appeared for a second in the cabin video, turned toward Nathan with suspicion. He shut his eyes. His wife called from Ohio. He answered with a trembling thumb. Charles, I saw the news. Are you all right? He looked across the room at Nathan. No, he said softly. But I am alive, and I have some work to do on myself. His wife went quiet. That was the first honest thing Charles had said all morning. Near the emergency doors, Robert Hayes signed his statement and handed the pen back to an investigator. The investigator asked, "And you are certain Mr. Walker demonstrated military flight knowledge before entering the cockpit?" Robert's eyes narrowed. "Son, I am certain of two things. He knew enough to help save that aircraft, and some people in that cabin needed a stranger to prove he was worthy before they treated him like a human being." The investigator looked down. "Yes, sir." Nathan finally stood when Dr. Melissa Carter entered the waiting area. Her coat was damp from the ambulance bay. Her face was tired, but relieved. "Captain Harris is stable," she said. Tyler rose so quickly the paramedic had to catch the cuff. "Stable?" Melissa nodded. "Stroke confirmed. They moved fast. He is not out of everything yet, but he has a real chance." Tyler covered his mouth with one hand. Rachel turned away, eyes wet. Nathan let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. "Good," he said. "Just one word." But the room felt it. A few hours later, Nathan was placed on a private connection back to Seattle. No press line, no staged handshake. Rachel made sure of it. Tyler came to the gate before boarding, still pale, still shaken, but standing straighter. "I keep hearing your voice," Tyler said. Nathan gave him a tired look. "That bad?" Tyler almost smiled. "No, it is keeping me steady." Nathan nodded. "Then keep the part that helps. Let the rest go when you can." Tyler held out his hand. Nathan shook it. Not like a hero and a saved man, like two people who had carried the same weight for a while and survived it together. When Nathan finally reached Seattle, the sky was soft and grey. Morning rain clung to the windows of the airport tram. Travelers hurried around him, unaware that the quiet man in the hoodie had crossed an ocean inside a nightmare. He liked that. At his front door, he stopped for 1 second. His hand rested on the knob. Inside, he heard small feet running. The door opened before he could turn the key. Emily crashed into him with all the force an 8-year-old girl could carry. "Daddy!" Nathan dropped his bag and fell to one knee. He wrapped both arms around her and held on like the world had narrowed to that single heartbeat. "I am home," he whispered. Emily pulled back and studied his face. "You look tired." He laughed softly. "I am tired. Did your plane have trouble?" Nathan looked over her shoulder. Margaret stood in the hallway, one hand pressed to her chest. "A little," he said. Emily frowned. "Were you scared?" Nathan could have given her the easy answer. Instead, he gave her the true one. Yes. She touched his cheek with her small hand. But you came home. His eyes burned. Yes, baby. I came home. Later that week, Meridian Airlines announced new emergency crew training, new bias awareness procedures, and a passenger respect initiative led by outside experts, veterans, safety professionals, and civil rights educators. Rachel Bennett volunteered to be part of it, not because it made her look good, because she remembered. At the first training session, she stood in front of a room full of flight crews and told the truth. I almost missed the person who could help us because he did not look like the person I expected. That mistake could have cost lives. Respect is not something we give after someone proves their worth. Respect is where we begin. Nathan did not attend that session. He was at home, making pancakes while Emily sat on the counter, swinging her legs and telling him about a spelling test. His phone buzzed with messages, interview requests, and headlines. He turned it face down. Emily looked at him. Are you famous now? Nathan poured batter into the pan. No. She tilted her head. Then what are you? He smiled, tired and healed in some small place he had thought would stay broken forever. Your dad. And that was enough. If this story reminded you to look closer, listen longer, and treat every person with dignity before you know their title, their past, or their power, then let it stay with you. Like this story, subscribe for more, and comment these 3 words: Respect saves lives.